A comer pastel, a comer lechón. Eh? You know I'm gonna do it. I'm team ketchup. I don't care. If you want to grate all of the vegetables by hand, by all means, more power to you. I know you're mad. Today, I'm gonna make pasteles. I found the traditional way of making pasteles a bit daunting. Sometimes it takes several people, several hours. I make them a little different because I prepare them in these little cups instead of wrapping them in banana leaves. They are the same recipe and they taste just as delicious. It's just a simpler version. There's a lot of different variations of pasteles recipes. Every family has their own, some are similar, some are different. In my family, we use the green bananas, yautia, and pumpkin. There's two main parts of the pasteles recipe. It's the filling and the masa, and I'm gonna start with the filling. I like using pernil as my meat, but it's really up to you. Some people do chicken, some people use different cuts of pork, whatever your heart desires. I'm gonna cut the pork in cubes and I'm gonna clean out some of the fat. Small cubes like this. This would make good cuerito. Now I'm gonna prepare the filling. We're gonna put a pot on medium heat. We're gonna start with some achiote oil for color. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of sofrito. You don't wanna be wearing white. Sofrito smells so good. So good. I'm gonna drop in the pork. We're gonna do about a tablespoon of adobo, about a tablespoon of sazon, and I'm gonna give it a nice stir. You're just gonna cook the meat a little bit before adding in more ingredients. So once the meat has browned a little bit, you can go ahead and add half a cup of tomato sauce and 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon or 2 cubitos de pollo. Is it chicken cubes? That doesn't sound right. You could also just use 2 cups of chicken stock and then skip adding in the 2 cups of water that I'm gonna put in now. I'm also gonna add in some garbanzos. Some people add these in when they're assembling the pasteles, but I like to cook them in with the meat so they're nice and flavorful. Sofrito already has garlic, but I'm just gonna add an extra garlic in. At this point, just do a little taste test to make sure that you don't need salt and pepper. Usually the adobo and the sazon will have enough salt. Mine doesn't need more, but if you need to, now's the time. Then I'm gonna lower the heat to low heat and let it simmer for around 15 minutes. So I'm gonna prep the banana leaf, and I like to wipe it down a little bit since they were outside. You're gonna turn the fire on and do some pieces like this, basically until it becomes all shiny. This is what is called amortiguar las hojas. That just means putting them in fire and prepping them to make pasteles.
What does this do though? Does it just make them easier to handle?
I don't know what this does. I just do it.
Hola, buenas.
Hola, mami.
Hola, hija.
Tengo una pregunta. ¿Por qué hay que amortiguar la hoja?
Porque si no se te parten para doblarla. ¿Tú sabes amortiguarla?
En el fuego, sí. Gracias.
Ok.
Ok.
No, pues está bien. ¿Y cuál es la risa? ¿Cuál es la risa?
Ninguna. Bye.
Ok, bye.
Bye. Bendición, güey. There you have it. Nena, no. Ya. Okay, now we're gonna work on the masa. We're gonna start with 8 green bananas, and you have to peel them. There's several ways you can do it. I'm just gonna peel them here. Once your bananas are peeled, you're gonna cut them into 1/2 or 1 inch pieces. I'm cutting them into 1 inch pieces so they can fit better in the blender, but traditionally, you just take the banana and you use the grater, and you do that with all of the ingredients. It's very time consuming, so I'm just gonna throw everything in the food processor. Then half a cup of pumpkin. I usually keep cubed pumpkin in the freezer, so I'm just gonna use that. And then you wanna peel 3 yautias and cut them up in around half-inch pieces as well. I'm gonna put as much as I can in this food processor, and then I'm gonna start it just to make more space, and then I'll add in the rest. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of achiote oil for some color. A little more. And then I took a cup of broth that is from the filling. And we're also gonna season it with some adobo and some sazon. Okay, let's give it a whirl. You wanna make sure that you don't over process this, over blend it. It still needs to be a little bit thick. You don't wanna liquefy it. And that's it, the masa is ready. Now we're gonna assemble everything. I have these silicone cups that I got online. You can also use those tin, like little flan cups that you can find in the supermarket, but this is reusable and it's really nice. You just wash it and use it again. I'm gonna start by prepping the leaves. I'm gonna make them round shaped to fit the mold. And what I do is take a fork, something that's not super sharp, and then just trace the size of the little pan that you have just to make a mark as a guide, because you're gonna cut it with a scissor. This step is optional. If you don't have access to the leaves, that's okay. I think it adds a little more of that traditional flavor, but it's just decorative and for tradition at this point. We're gonna start the assembly. First, you put the cup. You're gonna put a little bit of achiote oil at the bottom, a couple drops. Then we're gonna do a spoonful of masa at the bottom. You're gonna make a little indentation with the spoon just to make space for the filling. Then you're gonna put like a small spoonful of filling. I like it nice and filled. And then pimiento morrón. And then you're gonna put a little more masa on top. Try not to like overflow the cup and try to just make it perfectly to the edge. And then I'm gonna put the leaf on top, press it down a little bit so it sticks, and then you put it in a pan. And then you do it again. So my oven is preheated at 350, and traditionally you boil pasteles to cook them. And so because we're making them in these little cups, I'm just gonna put them in a baño de Maria or bain marie and fill them to like halfway. So I need a little more water. That should be good. And now we're ready to put in the oven. And then we're just gonna leave those in there for 45 minutes to an hour, more or less. Okay, so the timer just went off and I'm gonna take them out of the oven. Forgot to show you me putting on the foil, but make sure you cover it before you put it in the oven so it steams and the heat stays in there. Ta-da! These silicone cups are pretty non-stick. There it is. It's hot. I would recommend waiting a little bit. I just don't want to wait right now. Eh? That's a pastel. Oh, look at my fingers. Voila. If you want to grate all of the vegetables by hand, by all means, more power to you. I genuinely didn't make this recipe to be hacky or like disrespect the traditional recipe. I just wanted to have the flavor of Christmas without having to go through the whole process and still being able to enjoy pasteles with my Christmas meals. Delicious. I even like the texture a little bit more because it doesn't end up being as mushy. It's a little denser and not as slimy. I don't know, I really like it. You know I'm gonna do it. The drama. I'm team ketchup. I don't care. Like, I think it's delicious, and if you don't like it, don't put ketchup on it. Pasteles are a perfect representation of what Puerto Rican food is. It has the influence of our African ancestors, Tainos, the Spanish, all mixed into this one dish. It also happens to be super tasty, especially with ketchup. I know you're mad.